I really love the look of film. From the grain that shifts around, adding so much texture to the image, to the halation effect that causes highlights to have a beautiful warm glow, to even the overall softer tone that doesn't necessarily lack detail, but is just much more pleasant to the eye. Each of these key traits of film just gives the image as a whole so much more character and creates a super grounded, organic feel, which I absolutely adore. I'm not alone in this either. If you clicked on this video, then there's a very good chance that you, like me, also love the look of film and want to replicate that same look in your own projects. But if that's the case, then you're probably already well aware that the problems with shooting on film, and the main reason why most of us continue to shoot digitally, comes down to cost and convenience. Film is extremely expensive to shoot on nowadays. Not only is the film itself expensive, but also the equipment required to actually shoot it. It's for these reasons that most filmmakers opt to shoot on digital cameras. They're relatively affordable, easily accessible, and the cost of digital storage is far cheaper than its analog counterpart. I myself fell squarely into this group of people, a digital shooter forever longing to be able to capture the beautifully rich and organic tones of film, but ultimately being forced to resign myself to the digital look. Or at least that was the case before I discovered something that would change the way my films looked forever. This is Dehancer Pro, and it has quickly become my go-to color grading tool for accurately recreating the look of film in my videos. For those of you who don't know, Dehancer is a film emulation plugin that works with the majority of modern video editors like Adobe Premiere Pro, DaVinci Resolve, and Final Cut Pro. And what it does is take your standard digital footage from your camera and not only converts it over to mimic the look of several popular film stocks, but it then gives you a whole host of tools for processing and fine-tuning the look of your image. Things like film grain, halation, film breathing, bloom, and a bunch more are all easily adjustable, allowing you to take full control and better craft your desired look. Now, I've had the opportunity to use Dehancer for the past month. I've been testing it out and putting it to use in my day-to-day projects, and honestly, I've been completely blown away with the results that I've been able to achieve. The way that it's been able to help me take my footage from being super sharp and overall just looking very digital to being very rich, full of depth, and looking like it was actually shot on film has been something that's genuinely blown my mind more than a few times in the past couple of weeks. This kind of leads me into the main point of today's video, which is to do a quick overview of Dehancer, go over some of its main features, and show you how it works in action, with the hope of helping you make a more informed decision as to whether or not this plugin is something that you should consider buying. Now, full disclosure, the folks over at Dehancer did provide me with a license for the purposes of this video. That said, it was the only thing that they provided me with. I don't have any set talking points or script that I have to follow, and Dehancer won't be seeing this video before it goes up. So any thoughts, comments, or opinions expressed in this video are entirely my own. Now, with all of that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So the first thing that I want to do is just give you a quick example of Dehancer in action and what the process of working with this plugin actually looks like. I'm not going to go completely in depth for the sake of keeping this video's length within a reasonable range, but I will link to the various guides that Dehancer provides on their website that cover all of the different tools and capabilities in much greater detail. The version of Dehancer that I'll be using is the one for Adobe Premiere Pro as well as Adobe After Effects, but everything that I cover here also applies to the Final Cut and DaVinci Resolve versions as well. Okay, so here we are inside of Premiere, and I've already gone ahead and created a new project and placed all my footage into the timeline. And really what I want to do is just give you a quick preview of what working with Dehancer is actually like, some of the things that you can do, and really how easy it is to get some great looking results. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to my color workspace to get started. And the first thing that I'm going to do is navigate over to my effects tab and locate the Dehancer plugin. From there, we'll select our clip and then double click on the plugin to apply it. And right away, you'll see the effect kick in, which means that we're ready to start tweaking things. I'm going to head on over to the Effect Controls tab, and that's where we'll find the Dehancer panel itself. And right off the bat, you can see that there are a lot of tabs here, and there's a lot of settings that you can change. I'm not going to touch on every single one, but we are going to be working within some of the most important ones, so let's go ahead and get started. We'll start off at the very first tab, which is the input panel, and what this panel is meant for is establishing what kind of footage you're working with. That way Dehancer knows how to process the image going forward. It's here that you'll also be able to make any corrections to the color temperature or tint to get a more balanced look and offset any color shifting that might be caused by the various film stocks. In the first drop-down menu, you'll find all of your different options for what type of footage you're working with, including Rec 709, Rec 2020, and more, as well as an option to pick a specific camera if you're going to be working with unconverted log footage. Picking this option will unlock another drop-down menu, allowing you to select from a long list of cameras and convert a particular log profile into the proper color space. I'm working with vlog footage from my Panasonic S5, but since I've already converted it into a Rec 709 color space using the Gamut Vlog conversion LUT in the Lumetri color panel, I'm going to go ahead and just select the default Rec 709 option. From here, we need to decide which film stock we actually want to emulate. By going over to the Film tab and then the drop-down menu, you'll be greeted with tons of options to choose from, including popular film stocks like Kodak Portra, CineStill, and Kodak Vision. The amount of film stocks available is really impressive, each with their own unique look and effect on your footage. Choosing one is going to be based on your own personal preferences and the visual look you're going for, so I'd encourage you to spend some time experimenting and to find the one that you like best. Personally, I love the look of the Kodak Vision film stocks, so for this example, we're going to go with Kodak Vision 3 500T. After selecting your film stock, you may notice that the white balance may have shifted just a bit. In that case, you'll want to head back over to the Input tab and make some adjustments using the temperature and tint sliders to dial the image back to where it needs to be. Next, we're going to head down to the Print panel, and it gives us a bunch of options for adjusting what kind of film profile we want, target white and exposure settings, tonal contrast, color density, and saturation. What kind of look you have in mind will determine how you adjust these settings, but for this example, I'm going to select Kodak 2383 print film and then tweak a few of these settings here. Now, typically I like to bump up the tonal contrast and color density because I'm a huge fan of a bolder, more contrasty look with a lot of rich colors and very defined highlights and shadows, but again, your preference may be different, so adjust accordingly. Once that's done, I'm going to go up to the Film Compression tab and then check Enable. Now, what film compression is fairly self-explanatory, but essentially it will compress the image by softening your highlights, giving them a smoother roll-off and a more balanced look. This is great for reining in some of those highlights that might be clipping a little bit, and personally, I think that the look it gives is very appealing and certainly more reminiscent of how light actually behaves on film. From there, I'm just going to further adjust this a little bit by changing the impact, or how much it will actually compress the image, the white point, which is the level that highlights are getting compressed at, and then the tonal range, which handles the depth of the highlight, shadows, and midtones. There's also another color density slider here, but I'm going to go ahead and leave this as is because I'm pretty satisfied with how our colors look for now. Now, if we take a look at our image so far, we can see that things are really starting to take shape, and we've got a very pleasant and rich look going on here. But there are just a few more things that we can do to add those finishing touches and really bring this image home. I'm going to go on over to the Film Grain tab and then click the drop-down menu, which gives us several options ranging from 8mm all the way up to 65mm, each with 3 different ISO values. The higher the number, the more grain that there's going to be. Now, I found these presets to be pretty solid on their own, and I'm usually satisfied with the look that I get from them as is, but if you find yourself needing to be able to fine-tune the grain just a little bit more, you can do so by selecting your desired profile and then clicking Custom, which will then open up a plethora of options for tweaking the film grain to your liking. But for this video, I'm just going to go ahead and select 35mm ISO 50, which personally I think gives plenty of grain while not being too heavy. The thing that I really love about Dehancer's approach to film grain is that they aren't just using a typical overlay or filter here to give the illusion of grain, but rather they're actually reconstructing the shot itself with some sort of digital wizardry. The result is some of the most realistic and convincing digital film grain that I've ever seen. The final thing that we're going to apply to our image is halation. Now, you've probably heard a lot about halation recently, especially anytime someone is talking about recreating the film look. Halation refers to the sort of warm glow or haloing effect that occurs around bright highlights and is a signature characteristic of images shot on film. Using this effect in your shots can really go a long way to adding that little extra bit of magic to your image, provided that you don't go overboard with it. Dehancer gives you several options for adding halation into your shot, and again, depending on what you're going for, you should experiment and see what you like best. From the presets available, I usually will pick either the 35mm/Super 35 or the 65mm/70mm option. Though sometimes I feel like the provided presets can be just a little bit too strong, and in that situation, I'll choose the custom option and then spend some time dialing in the settings from there until I feel like I have a believable effect. Alright, so with our halation applied and all of our other settings having been tweaked to our liking, I think that we can call this shot pretty much done. I'd say that we've been able to successfully take our footage from looking very plain and very digital to being super rich and full of character, vibrance, and absolutely more filmic. And honestly, this is just the tip of the iceberg. There are a bunch of other tools and settings for crafting and tweaking your image that I didn't have time to cover in this video, so when you throw that into the equation, the possibilities really do start to feel endless. So now that we've taken a closer look at Dehancer Pro in action, you hopefully have a better understanding of some of the tools, features, and capabilities that this plugin provides. But is it actually worth picking up for yourself? In my time testing it, Dehancer has proven itself to be a very impressive tool for quickly and consistently replicating the look of film in a way that doesn't look fake. And I continue to be blown away at the results I've been able to pull off with it. Honestly, this may be one of, if not the best way to achieve a realistic film look, aside from going out and shooting with actual celluloid. So speaking purely from a quality standpoint, I would say that Dehancer is absolutely worth your time, and the results do speak for themselves. But that's only half of the equation. As with most things in life, you get what you pay for, and in the case of Dehancer, you will certainly pay for it. Dehancer's pricing is broken into 4 separate options, 3 recurring subscriptions, those being a 3-month, 6-month, and 1 year, and then finally a lifetime option that grants you unlimited access forever. These tiers range in price from $149 for the 3-month option, all the way up to $449 for the lifetime. Now, in my personal opinion, the only 2 tiers I would ever consider paying for would be the 1 year and the lifetime. There might be an argument for purchasing a shorter license if you only need the tools for a very specific period of time, or if it's for one single project, but if you plan on using it for any extended period of time, really the only one that I would bother with is the lifetime, since you get it forever, and the pricing structure of each tier is definitely set up to make the lifetime option the more cost-effective one in the long run. That said, $500 before tax is still a lot of money, no matter which way you slice it, and this steep price tag is the biggest reason why I would have a hard time recommending Dehancer to just anyone. Ultimately though, whether or not you think this plugin is worth your time and money is your call. My goal with this video is not to tell you what to buy or not to buy, but rather to help you make a more informed decision about what's right for you. But what I can say is, if you're a filmmaker or videographer like me who loves the look of film and who is serious about wanting to create an authentic film look without the hassles or cost associated with actual film, then Dehancer Pro is definitely worth checking out. It's a complete one-stop shop for realistic film emulation, and provided you can swallow its slightly heavy price tag, it is an excellent way to create some truly beautiful images and finally be able to achieve that wonderful film look that we all love so much. Well, that just about wraps up this video. Thank you so much for watching. A big thanks to the folks over at Dehancer for the opportunity to cover this awesome plugin. If you want to use Dehancer for yourself, then I would encourage you to head to the link in the description and use code AAF10 at checkout to get 10% off your purchase. Not only do you save a little bit of money, but I'll also earn a small commission off of it, which really helps to keep things up and running. If you enjoy the video, then please do me a favor by dropping a like down below or a dislike if you absolutely hated it. To see more videos like this one and to be notified when new ones go live, then subscribe with notifications on. And of course, if you have any thoughts, questions, or you just want to say hi, then leave a comment down below. I love seeing what you guys have to say, and I try to respond to as many as I can. So with all of that out of the way, thanks again so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.